I was 24, broke, and living in a dingy studio apartment in Columbus, Ohio. My mattress was on the floor. The fridge was mostly empty, except for cheap ramen and a half-open jar of peanut butter. The only real furniture I had was a folding chair I found on the curb. I worked part-time at a gas station, pulling in just enough for rent and groceries. But it wasn't enough to pay down the medical bills stacked on my kitchen counter. Most nights after my shift, I'd sit hunched over my old laptop, scrolling job boards like they might magically save me. That's how I ended up on Craigslist. Buried between ads for broken futons and people selling lightly used car batteries was a post that caught my eye. It read, "Easy money. Simple pickup and drop-off jobs. Cash paid immediately. Must have your own car." It sounded shady, but I'd been living on black coffee and instant noodles for weeks. My brain kept repeating the number, $200 cash, all for a short trip. The ad listed a number. Against my better judgment, I texted it. A few minutes later, I got a reply. "Name's Brian. I'll send details when you're ready. No questions asked. Straightforward work." It made my stomach twist. But then again, everything in my life already felt like a gamble. So I said yes. The first job was picking up a package from a storage unit on the east side and dropping it off at a diner parking lot. The package was small, duct-taped, and heavier than it looked. Brian wasn't there himself, just some guy in a hoodie who grabbed the box and shoved a folded envelope into my hand before walking off without a word. Inside the envelope was $200, crisp bills. I stared at it the whole drive home, a weird mix of relief and dread churning in my chest. For 2 weeks, the jobs kept coming, always through text, always vague. Pick this up, drop it here, don't ask questions. I told myself it was probably just delivery work, like a bootleg courier service. But deep down, I knew better. You don't pay someone $200 for 20 minutes of driving unless there's something you don't want them to know. Still, I kept saying yes, because saying no meant choosing between rent and food. The first time I met Brian was outside a strip mall after my third job. I was waiting in my car when he tapped on my window. I jumped, then rolled it down. He looked mid-30s, clean-shaven, wearing a cheap leather jacket. He smiled like he'd known me forever. "You're reliable," he said. "I like that." Something about his tone made me stiffen. Too familiar, too sure. He leaned on the window frame. "People usually flake after 1 or 2 runs. Not you, though. You get it." I didn't answer. I just nodded. Then he tilted his head, studying me in a way that felt like he was memorizing every detail of my face. "You live alone, right?" My throat tightened. I never told him that. "How do you?" He cut me off, grinning wider. "You strike me as the type. Independent, smart, no one to nag you. Freedom's good, huh?" The way he said it wasn't a compliment. It was a statement, like he already knew the answer. Before I could reply, he shoved another envelope through the window. "Same time next week. I'll be in touch." Then he walked off, hands in his pockets, whistling like nothing was wrong. The next week, things shifted. He stopped sending jobs. Instead, he started texting things that made my skin crawl. "You home right now? Bet you eat the same thing for dinner every night. That blue hoodie you wore today looked good on you." I threw my phone across the room when I read that last one. He had to be watching me. That night, I triple-checked my door lock and pulled the blinds down so hard they snapped. My heart wouldn't slow down. I couldn't shake the thought that he was standing across the street, staring at my windows, just out of sight. I tried blocking his number. It didn't work. A new one would pop up, always the same tone, the same unsettling friendly words. Don't ignore me. We're a team now. I can take care of you if you just trust me. No one else is looking out for you. One message made me sick to my stomach. You shouldn't leave your window unlocked at night. I didn't sleep. I sat with a baseball bat across my lap, waiting for the sound of my doorknob turning. By morning, I decided I was done. No more jobs, no more texts. I even considered calling the cops. But what would I even tell them? That some guy from Craigslist paid me cash for mystery packages and now he's being creepy? They'd laugh me out of the station. Still, I had to try something. A few nights later, after another shift at the gas station, I stepped out to the lot and froze. My car was the only one left, and someone was leaning against it. Brian. He pushed off the hood casually, like he'd been waiting for me all night. "You've been avoiding me," he said. Not angry, calm, too calm. "I'm done," I said, my voice shaking. "No more jobs, no more texts." He tilted his head again, that same look, like he was reading me. Then he smiled. "That's not how this works." My chest tightened. "I didn't sign up for this." "You did," he said softly. "The second you said yes. You're part of this now, and you don't walk away from something once you're inside. That's dangerous for both of us." I glanced around the lot. Empty. My phone was in my pocket, but if I pulled it out, I wasn't sure I'd even have the guts to dial. Brian stepped closer. I smelled his cologne. Cheap, sharp, overwhelming. "You don't want people finding out what you've been doing for me, do you?" he said. "Think about how fast your life could come apart." I swallowed hard, backing toward the door of the gas station, but he kept his pace slow, almost playful. Then, out of nowhere, he stopped. He slipped an envelope into the space between my wiper blade and windshield. "One more job," he said. "Think carefully before you say no. I'll be watching." And then he walked off, hands in his pockets, whistling like nothing was wrong. I didn't touch the envelope. I didn't sleep that night either. The next morning, I went out to my car. The envelope was gone. I still don't know if someone else took it, or if Brian came back. But I do know one thing. He wasn't bluffing about watching. I've always said birthdays are the hardest when you're broke. My daughter Megan was turning 15 in March, and for the past year, all she talked about was getting a dirt bike. Not some brand new shiny thing, just anything that actually ran. She had this obsession with motocross videos on YouTube and spent hours doodling little bikes in her notebooks. I wanted to give her that. Problem was, after bills and rent, there wasn't much left. I worked as a mechanic at a small auto shop in Pine Hill, and the hours had been cut since winter. Most days, I'd bring home just enough to cover groceries. Still, I told myself I'd figure it out. She'd been through enough already. Losing her mom 2 years ago, moving into this cramped apartment with peeling paint and paper-thin walls, I wanted her to feel like she wasn't missing out. That's when I started scrolling Craigslist again. I hadn't used it in years. Back in the day, I bought and sold tools on there, sometimes old car parts. The site looked the same as it always did. Plain white background, sketchy ads mixed in with the real ones. I typed "dirt bike" into the search bar and found mostly overpriced junk. A few were missing parts, others wanted thousands, way out of my budget. But one ad stopped me. Yamaha dirt bike, $300, runs fine, must pick up. That price was low, suspiciously low. The photo attached was dark, a little blurry, but you could tell it was a decent bike.
The post had only been up for 15 minutes. Against my better judgment, I shot a text to the number. "Hey, I'm interested in the dirt bike. Still got it?" The reply came fast, almost too fast. "Yeah, it's still here. First come, first served. Can you meet tonight?" I chewed on my lip. Tonight? It was already close to 7:30. Megan was at the table working on homework, humming some song under her breath. I typed back, "Depends where you're at. I'd need to bring my daughter too." The response came quickly. "No problem. I'm about an hour south near Harrow Creek. Easy drive. I can meet you at a rest area off the highway. Lots safer than my place, you know." I stared at the message. On one hand, it made sense. On the other, something about the way he phrased it felt practiced, like he'd said it to a lot of people before. I showed Megan the listing, and her face lit up like I just told her she won the lottery. "Dad, it's perfect. Please, let's just go look. If it's sketchy, we can leave." That look, hope, mixed with that teenage desperation, was enough to push my doubt down. I typed back, "Okay, send me the exit number." He replied instantly, "Exit 142, Harrow Creek Rest Stop. I'll be there at 9, black pickup. See you then." I tucked my phone in my pocket, already feeling uneasy. I told Megan to grab her jacket. On the way out, I slipped a flashlight and my old pocket knife into the glove box. Not because I expected trouble, at least that's what I told myself, but because something about this didn't sit right. We hit the road just after 8. Megan leaned against the window, chattering about how she'd practice in the empty lot near our building, how she'd take care of the bike herself, how this was going to be the best birthday ever. I tried to match her excitement, but the whole drive, my hand stayed tight on the wheel. The farther south we went, the darker the highway got. Streetlights grew sparse. By the time the green sign for exit 142 appeared, I had that sinking feeling in my gut I couldn't shake. The exit ramp curved into a patch of darkness. Only one buzzing streetlight flickered near the Harrow Creek Rest Stop sign. I pulled into the lot. For a second, I thought we were early. The place was almost empty. Just a couple of vending machines glowing in a little shelter, and a semi parked way off in the corner with its engine idling. I parked under the brightest light I could find. Megan stretched in the passenger seat, grinning. "This is so cool, Dad. It feels like an adventure." "Yeah," I said, forcing a smile. My stomach was knotted. I checked my phone. 8:57. The guy said 9. At 9:04, a black pickup rolled in. It slowed as it passed my van, then circled around and parked a few spots away. The windows were tinted, too tinted. The engine cut off, but nobody got out. I waited, my hand resting on the steering wheel. Megan leaned forward, squinting. "Is that him?" "I think so. Stay here." I grabbed my flashlight from the glove box and stepped out. The night air was colder than I expected, and it smelled faintly of diesel from the semi. My shoes crunched on gravel as I walked closer. The driver's window rolled down halfway. A man sat there, maybe mid-40s, ball cap pulled low. His face was shadowed. "You here for the bike?" he asked. His voice was flat, no warmth in it. "Yeah, you got it in the back?" I angled the flashlight toward his truck bed. Empty. Not even a tarp. He shifted like it was nothing. "My buddy's bringing it. He's got the trailer. Should be here any minute." I felt that knot in my gut tighten. "You didn't say anything about a buddy. Why not bring it yourself?" He shrugged. Couldn't fit both in one truck. It was the same kind of answer people give when they don't care if you believe them or not. I glanced back at my van. Megan was watching, her face pressed to the glass. The man must have noticed. "That your girl?" "Yeah." He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. She's about the age of mine. Wants a dirt bike too. I get it. I forced a polite laugh. Well, I've got cash if the bike's decent. When's your buddy getting here? He leaned an elbow on the door. 9:10. He's never late. The way he said it gave me chills, like it was rehearsed, like this wasn't the first time. I stepped back toward my van. All right, I'll wait here until he shows up. He didn't argue, just stared. Window still half rolled, cap low. His hand drummed against the door frame, slow and steady. Back in the van, Megan whispered, "Where's the bike?" "Not here yet," I muttered. I tried to sound calm, but my pulse was racing. At 9:11, headlights appeared at the edge of the lot. Another pickup, this one older, louder, pulling in slow. No trailer, no bike strapped down, just two guys in the cab, silhouettes in the glow. They parked opposite us, doors clicking open in unison. Megan's hand gripped my sleeve. "Dad, lock the doors." "Lock the doors," I whispered. She hit the button fast. The first man in the black truck finally stepped out. He was taller than I expected, bulky under his coat. He didn't say a word, just nodded toward the two new arrivals. That's when I realized my mistake. This wasn't about a dirt bike. The man from the black truck walked toward us, his boots scraping the pavement. The two others spread out, one drifting toward the vending machines, the other toward the side of my van. They weren't carrying anything, no bike, no gear, just watching me. I forced my door open and stepped halfway out, keeping myself between them and Megan. My voice came out sharper than I planned. "Where's the dirt bike?" The tall man smirked. "Relax, my buddy's got it stashed. Just need to make sure you brought the cash first." Something cold ran down my spine. This wasn't a sale. It was a setup. I pulled the envelope halfway out of my jacket pocket, enough for them to see green bills. "It's right here, but I'm not handing anything over until I see the bike." The guy near the vending machines chuckled. "Man's playing hardball." The one closest to my van leaned in, peering through the glass. Megan ducked back, locking eyes with me, her face pale. "Step away from the car," I barked. The tall man's smirk vanished. He lifted his chin at the other two. "Do it." My heart lurched. I slammed my door shut, yelling, "Megan, don't open it, no matter what." She fumbled with the locks, double-checking them. The men moved faster now. One tugged at her door handle. The other circled behind, glancing at the back windows like he was testing where to break in. The tall man stepped closer to me, lowering his voice. "You think yelling's gonna help out here? Nobody's listening." My pulse was hammering, my mind racing for anything, any distraction, any chance. Then I remembered the horn. I leaned back in, slammed my palm against it. The blast shattered the silence, echoing across the empty lot. The men froze, startled, looking around, like maybe someone had heard. But there was no one else, just us. And suddenly, all three pairs of eyes turned back to me. The tall man lunged first, grabbing at my arm. I twisted free, shoving him back with everything I had. His boot scraped, but he didn't fall. Behind him, one of the others yanked on Megan's door handle so hard, the van shook. She screamed, hitting the horn again, long and sharp. That sound lit a fire in me. I darted around the front of the van, waving the envelope of cash in the air. "Here, take it, just leave us alone." The tall man's eyes locked on the envelope. He reached for it, but I threw it high across the lot. Bills scattered in the cold wind, fluttering under the floodlights. All three men's heads snapped toward the money. For a split second, none of them were looking at us. "Now," I yelled to Megan. I jumped into the driver's seat, slammed the locks down, and jammed the keys into the ignition. The engine roared awake. One of them cursed, sprinting back toward the van. He slammed his hand on the hood as I threw it into reverse, tires squealing. I twisted the wheel hard and floored it toward the exit. In the mirror, I saw them scrambling for the cash. Two of them chasing, one grabbing at loose bills. The tall man didn't move. He just stood there in the yellow light, watching us drive away. His expression? Unreadable. We hit the highway in seconds, Megan sobbing beside me. I kept driving, knuckles white on the wheel, not slowing until I saw the glowing lights of a gas station 10 miles down. I pulled in, shaking so hard I could barely dial 911. The dispatcher kept asking me to repeat the location, but my head was spinning. When I finally looked at Megan, she was clutching her phone, recording the whole time. The cops showed up an hour later, took our statements, even replayed Megan's shaky video. They promised to look into it. But when they drove us back past the rest stop the next morning, it was spotless. No cash, no trucks, nothing. Megan hasn't asked about the dirt bike since. And me? Every time I see a pickup in my rearview mirror, I can't help but wonder if it's them, waiting for another chance.
I never thought scrubbing floors would save me. But when bills pile up, you stop being picky. 2 months ago, I lost my receptionist job at a gym. Rent didn't stop. My car payment didn't stop. I was eating ramen twice a day and still checking my balance before swiping my card. Out of options, I went digging on Craigslist. Most of the posts were garbage. Make $500 a day from home scams, shady cash offers. But then one popped up. House cleaner needed. Saturday evening, $150 cash, 1-bedroom apartment, easy work, no heavy lifting. The name on the ad was Martin. It felt safe enough. I'd cleaned houses before in high school for extra cash, and $150 was more than I could make in a whole day at the pet store, where I sometimes picked up shifts. I emailed, and Martin replied in less than an hour. "Thanks for your interest. Just need some vacuuming, dusting, and kitchen wipe down. I'll be there while you work. Address 243 Oakdale Court. Please arrive at 6 p.m. The "I'll be there while you work" part made me hesitate. Most people leave when they hire a cleaner, but the pay was good. I convinced myself it was fine. Saturday evening came, gray skies, a drizzle making the street lamps glow early. The address led me to an older apartment building near downtown. The brick was stained and cracked, and the entrance smelled like wet carpet. I told myself it was fine, just a job. When I knocked, the door opened right away. A man stood there, late 40s, tall but a little slouched, thinning hair combed straight back, glasses that slid down his nose. He smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You must be Hannah," he said. His voice was low, flat. "Yeah, that's me. Come in." The apartment was clean, too clean. Bare walls, no photos, no clutter, no TV. Just a couch, a table, and a single lamp giving off yellow light. "You can start in the kitchen," he said, shutting the door behind me. The lock clicked louder than it should have. The kitchen barely needed cleaning. The counters were spotless, the sink was dry, and there wasn't a single dish in sight. I wiped them down anyway, trying to look busy. Martin hovered in the doorway, watching. Not talking, just watching. "You live here alone?" I asked, forcing small talk. He smiled thinly. "For now."
I nodded, kept wiping. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A text from my friend Jess. "You good?" I told her where I was, just in case. I typed back, "Yeah, weird guy, but fine." When I glanced up, Martin was closer. "Everything okay?" he asked. "Yeah, just texting my friend." He nodded slowly, like he was filing that away. After about 20 minutes, I moved to the living room. The vacuum hummed loudly, filling the silence. When I turned it off, I nearly jumped. Martin was standing right behind me. "You missed a spot," he said, pointing to an invisible crumb. I forced a laugh. "Guess I'll get it." He didn't move. I had to squeeze past him to plug the vacuum back in. His eyes stayed on me the whole time. At 7:15, I said, "That's about everything. Place looks great already." He frowned. "You're leaving already?" "Well, yeah, I mean, it didn't much need." "I thought you'd be here longer." His voice was flat again. "Stay a little more. I'll pay you extra." My chest tightened. I smiled politely. "Sorry, I have another job later tonight." He didn't answer, just stared. I made it out by 7:30. He handed me the cash, crisp bills folded too neatly, and watched from the doorway as I walked to my car. I didn't look back. I told myself it was fine, just an awkward guy. I tried to shake it off, but the next morning I had an email from Martin. "Thanks again. You're very thorough. I'd like you to come again, maybe next Saturday. We could order dinner, make it more casual." I didn't reply. 2 days later, another email. "Hey, noticed you didn't answer. Did I do something wrong? Please respond." I ignored it again. That night, a text came from an unknown number. "Hi, Hannah. It's Martin. Just wanted to check if you got home safe Saturday." I hadn't given him my number. I froze. My heart thudded. I deleted the text, blocked the number, and told myself that was the end. But over the next week, more numbers, more messages. "Why won't you answer me? I can pay double this time. You don't have to clean, just come over." I blocked each one, but they kept coming. Different numbers every time. By Friday, I got one that made my stomach drop. "I liked your blue jacket. It suits you. Maybe wear it again next time." I'd worn that jacket leaving his place. He must have watched me longer than I realized. I told Jess everything. She wanted me to go to the cops. But what would I even say? A creepy guy paid me cash and texted me? It wasn't illegal to be weird. That Saturday, I stayed home, blinds shut, phone on silent. Around 6:10, a knock rattled my door. Not a polite knock, hard, sharp, like someone trying to get in. My stomach twisted. I didn't move. Another knock, louder, then silence. I crept to the peephole, heart pounding. The hallway looked empty, but on the floor, right against my door, was an envelope. I waited 10 minutes before opening it. Inside were 3 $100 bills. No note, just the money. That night, another text came from a new number. "See, I told you I'd pay more. You belong here. Come back." I moved out 2 weeks later, crashed on Jess's couch until I found a new place. But sometimes, when my phone buzzes with an unknown number, I freeze before answering. Because what if it's him again? And what if, next time, he doesn't just knock?
I'd been broke for weeks when I decided to start browsing Craigslist again. Not for a job this time. I already had one, if you could call it that. I worked part-time at a storage facility out on the edge of town, barely pulling enough hours to cover rent. My old laptop had died the month before, and without it, even streaming shows felt impossible. I couldn't afford something new, but I thought maybe I'd find a cheap used one online. Most of the listings were junk, busted screens, missing keys, or people asking way too much for something ancient. Then, one post caught my eye. Dell laptop, lightly used, works fine. $150, need gone today. The pictures looked real. Someone's desk in the background, coffee mug stains, scattered pens. It didn't look like a scam. The price wasn't suspicious either. I sent a quick message through the anonymous email Craigslist gives you. A couple hours later, I got a reply. "Hi, this is Mark. Laptop's still available. You can come by after 6. Here's my number." The way he wrote was casual. No weird grammar, no pushiness. I texted him and asked for the address. He sent me a street not far from the river, about 15 minutes from my apartment. That night, I sat in my car outside the house. It was a small, single-story place, paint peeling, overgrown yard. A porch light flickered on as I pulled up. Normal enough, I told myself. Mark came out before I even knocked. He looked mid-40s, heavy-set, with thinning hair and a hoodie that had grease stains on the front. He smiled when he saw me, though it didn't really reach his eyes. "You must be here for the laptop," he said. "Yeah." "Come on in, it's right inside." Something about stepping into a stranger's house always puts me on edge, but I didn't want to look paranoid. The living room was dim, cluttered, fast food bags on the coffee table, boxes stacked in corners. He led me toward a small desk against the wall where the laptop sat. "See? Still works fine," Mark said, flipping it open. The screen lit up. "Battery holds a charge, too." I nodded, trying to stay polite, but I noticed the desktop wallpaper wasn't blank. It was a photo. A kid, maybe 10 years old, grinning with missing teeth. "That your son?" I asked. Mark's smile froze. He closed the laptop slowly. "Something like that." I laughed awkwardly, hoping I hadn't stepped on something personal. "Looks good, though. Mind if I try it out?" "Sure," he said, sliding it toward me. The laptop ran fine, just as he promised. I opened a couple programs, checked the keys, the trackpad. Everything seemed okay. I told him I was interested. "That's great," Mark said, leaning against the wall, arms crossed. "Most people waste my time. I hate that. You seem different." I wasn't sure what he meant, but I forced a smile. "Yeah, well, I've been needing one for a while. Figured this was a good deal." He nodded slowly, watching me too closely. "So, you live around here?" Not too far," I said carefully. His eyes lit up like that was the answer he wanted. "Good. I hate dealing with people who live across the city. Too much back and forth. At least if you're close by." He trailed off, still staring. I pulled out the cash. "So, $150, right?" Mark didn't move right away. Then he grinned. "Yeah, $150. I handed him the bills and packed up the laptop. That should have been the end of it. But as I slung the strap over my shoulder, he said, "You know, I've got some other stuff I'm trying to get rid of. Tools, furniture, even a bike. You should come by again sometime. Maybe take a look." "Maybe," I said, edging toward the door. He followed me onto the porch, hands shoved in his hoodie pocket. "I mean it. You seem like someone I can trust. Not everyone gives that vibe, you know." I just nodded, said thanks again, and walked to my car. When I glanced back, he was still there, watching me. I didn't think much of it at first. People can be awkward. But later that night, after setting up the laptop in my apartment, my phone buzzed with a new message. "Glad you stopped by. Hope you like the laptop." I hadn't given him my number. I stared at the text for a long time, heart thudding in my chest.
There was no way. Unless when I messaged through Craigslist, he must have seen it somehow. Maybe saved my info.
Then another message popped up. Nice place, by the way. I froze. He shouldn't know where I lived. I didn't respond to his text right away. My stomach twisted. Maybe he meant my place, as in the general area, not my actual apartment. Still, it felt too specific. I typed back, "How do you know where I live?" No reply. I set the laptop aside and paced my living room, checking the blinds like some paranoid freak. The street outside was empty, just parked cars and a single streetlight buzzing faintly. I told myself I was overthinking. Maybe he just guessed. But a few minutes later, another message lit up my phone. "Don't worry, I'm not a creep. I just notice things." My throat went dry. I shoved the phone face down on the counter. I didn't sleep that night. The next day at work, I told myself I was going to block his number and move on. I even typed his name into my contacts just so I could hit block faster. But before I could, another text came in around noon. "You working today? Long shift?" That stopped me cold. Nobody knew my schedule except my boss and a couple coworkers. I swallowed hard, my hands shaking as I shoved the phone back in my pocket. After my shift, I left through the back door and scanned the lot. Nothing, just a few cars, including mine. I walked fast, unlocked it, and climbed in. That's when I noticed a folded piece of paper tucked under my windshield wiper. I opened it with trembling hands. "Good to see you, M." That night, I finally called a friend, Evan, told him the whole thing. He laughed at first, thought I was exaggerating, but when I showed him the texts, his face tightened. "Dude, you need to go to the cops." I wanted to, but what would I say? Some guy I bought a laptop from won't stop texting me? It felt thin. At 1:13 a.m., another buzz shook my phone. This one wasn't a text. It was a picture. My building, taken from outside. My window glowing faintly through the blinds. I dropped the phone on the couch like it burned. My pulse pounded in my ears. He was here. I killed the lamp instantly, plunging the apartment into darkness. My breath came out shaky and uneven as I crouched by the window, careful not to move the blinds. Outside, the street looked still, but somewhere out there, Mark was watching. I grabbed my keys, shoved my phone into my pocket, and headed for the door. Every step creaked louder than it should have. I cracked the door and peeked out. The hallway was empty. I made it down the stairs fast, skipping steps. My car was just across the lot. If I could get inside, I could drive straight to Evan's place or even the police station. As I reached the bottom, movement caught my eye. A shadow pulled back near the dumpsters. "Hey," a voice said softly. I froze. Mark stepped into the faint glow of the streetlight. Same hoodie, same bulk. Only now, his smile was gone. "You shouldn't ignore me," he said, voice low, like he was scolding me. I didn't answer. My legs just moved, sprinting across the lot. He lunged forward, footsteps pounding behind me. I fumbled with my keys, nearly dropping them before finally jamming one into the lock and yanking my door open. I slammed it shut, hit the lock, and started the engine in one motion. He slapped his palm against the window hard enough to make the glass shake. His face was right there, eyes wide, mouth twisted. "Don't run from me," he shouted. I didn't answer. My legs just moved, sprinting across the lot. He lunged forward, footsteps pounding behind me. I fumbled with my keys, nearly dropping them before finally jamming one into the lock and yanking my door open. I slammed it shut, hit the lock, and started the engine in one motion. He slapped his palm against the window hard enough to make the glass shake. His face was right there, eyes wide, mouth twisted. "Don't run from me," he shouted. I threw the car in reverse, tires squealing as I tore backward and then out of the lot. My chest heaved, my hands gripped the wheels so tight they ached. I didn't go home that night. I drove straight to Evans and crashed on his couch. The next morning, I went to the police. They listened, took my statement, looked at the texts and the photo. They promised to look into it. But when I got back to my place later, the paper under my windshield had been replaced with another note. This one only said, "You can't hide forever." I'd been meaning to get rid of this heavy oak dresser for months. It was my ex's, left behind when she moved out, and I didn't have the energy to keep staring at it. I lived in a one-bedroom unit on the second floor of an older building in Springwood, and dragging it to the curb wasn't an option. Craigslist felt easier. I snapped a few pictures, wrote a quick description. Solid wood dresser, good condition, $120 or best offer, must pick up, second floor. I posted it on a Tuesday morning before heading to my part-time shift at the bookstore. By noon, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Saw your ad. I'm interested in the dresser. Can I come tonight around 9? The late hour gave me pause, but I needed the money and didn't want to lose the sale. I texted back, "Sure, just text me when you're here. Unit 2B. He replied instantly, "Thanks. Name's Eric. I'll bring cash." That evening, I vacuumed the living room, wiped the dresser down, and shoved clutter out of sight. At 8:50, my phone buzzed. Here. When I looked out the window, a gray van idled by the curb. The headlights clicked off, and a tall figure stepped out. Broad shoulders, shaved head, dark hoodie. He stood still for a moment, looking up at my window. I forced myself to breathe, unlocked the door, and waited. When Eric knocked, it was 3 short, sharp raps. "Hey," I said, pulling the door open with a smile that felt glued on. He gave a quick nod. "You the seller?" His voice was deep, flat. "Yeah, dresser's right here." He stepped inside without waiting. Eric circled the dresser slowly, running his fingers along the wood like he was memorizing it. "Heavy piece," he muttered. Then he looked up at me. "You live here alone?" The question came out casual, but my stomach tightened. Yeah, just me," I lied automatically, hoping my tone sounded flat. He nodded, crouching to check the drawers. They slid fine, smooth, nothing unusual. "Place is quiet," he said, glancing around my apartment. His eyes lingered on my bookshelf, the kitchen doorway, the couch. "Yeah, it's not bad," I said quickly, trying to redirect. "So, do you want to buy it? I can help carry it down." Eric smiled faintly, but it didn't reach his eyes. "I'll take it, but I didn't bring anyone to help. Thought maybe you could give me a hand." My throat went dry. The dresser weighed at least 100 pounds. Carrying it with a stranger down 2 flights of stairs at night didn't feel right. "Honestly, it's too heavy for me. You might need a buddy." He stared at me for a long beat, then shrugged. "Fair enough. Still want it, though. Mind if I use your bathroom first?" That same pinching alarm rang in my chest, sharp and cold. I forced a laugh. "Sorry, it's kind of a mess, not a good time." He didn't move, just kept looking at me, jaw tight.
Finally, he said, "Okay, no problem." He pulled out a wallet of bills, counted out 120 with slow, deliberate movements, and placed it on the dresser. "I'll come back with a truck," he said, voice low, "tomorrow night." I didn't sleep much after that. His stare, his questions, the way he looked around my apartment, it all replayed in my head. The cash sat untouched on the counter. The next evening, I told myself it was fine. He was just awkward. Paranoid people don't sell things online. Still, I texted my friend Megan, "Guy coming for dresser tonight. If I don't text after 10, call me." At 9 sharp, another buzz. Here. I looked outside. The same gray van. This time, 2 figures inside. Only Eric got out. He didn't knock right away. He just stood by the door, looking at the peephole like he knew I was on the other side. When the knock came, it rattled the frame. "Hey, it's me," he said. "Got someone to help." I swallowed hard. Actually, something came up. Not a good time tonight. Silence. Then, "But I brought the truck. We're already here." His tone was flatter now, harder. "I'm sorry," I said, forcing calm. "I'll message you if it's still available." For a long moment, no sound. Then footsteps retreating down the hall. I waited 5 minutes before daring to look out the window. The van was still there, engine idling, lights off. It didn't leave for another 20 minutes. The next morning, I took the dresser money and shoved it back into an envelope. I didn't want it. My hands shook as I carried it down to the building manager's office. "Someone else can take it. I don't care." That night, no knock came. No van. For the first time in days, I breathed easier. But a week later, while walking back from the bookstore, I spotted a familiar gray van parked half a block from my building. My chest tightened instantly. I crossed the street, pretending not to notice, but when I glanced back, I saw Eric in the driver's seat. Just sitting there, one arm resting on the wheel, eyes following me as I walked. I hurried inside, locked my door, and sat on the couch, phone in hand, staring at the silent room. The van didn't move for hours. And even now, I don't know if he ever really left.
Story 6. And back then, I was barely holding it together. I worked long nights at a distribution warehouse outside Nashville, unloading freight trucks until sunrise. The pay was okay, but the hours messed me up. I'd get home at 6 a.m., eat whatever junk I had lying around, and crash until late afternoon. Most days, my phone would be on silent just so I could actually sleep. One afternoon, I woke up to my neighbor pounding on the door. "Dude, your kitchen's leaking into my unit," she shouted through the wood. I shot out of bed, still half asleep, and opened the door. Water was dripping through her ceiling light, and she was furious. I ran into my kitchen. Sure enough, the floor was soaked. A steady stream was coming from under the sink. My landlord was useless. I called him 3 times before he picked up, and all he said was, "It's on you. Hire someone and send me the bill." Like I had money for that. I tried calling a couple of plumbers, but either they didn't answer or wanted insane emergency rates. My shift started in just a few hours, and I was staring at water creeping toward my carpet. That's when I made the mistake of searching Craigslist. Scrolling past weird ads for quick fixes and affordable labor, I spotted one that seemed normal. Eddie, plumbing, drywall, electrical. No job too small. Cheap rates. Text anytime. I hesitated, then texted. He called within minutes. His voice was calm. almost too calm. "Yeah, I can be there in 40 minutes," he said, "cash only." I told him yes, anything to make this nightmare stop. When he showed up, he didn't look like a plumber. No uniform, just a faded jacket and jeans. But he had a toolbox and acted confident. I let him in. Big mistake. Eddie had this way of walking around my apartment like he already owned the place. He went straight to the sink, crouched down, and muttered, not too bad." Then he looked up at me and smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You live alone?" he asked casually. "Yeah," I said. "Why?" He shrugged. "Just wondering. Place is pretty quiet." I tried to brush it off, but something about the way he asked made me uneasy. I stayed nearby, pretending to scroll my phone while keeping him in sight. After about 20 minutes, he stood up. "Fixed the leak, but your pipes are old. Could burst again. I should check the bathroom too." I didn't want him wandering around, but I didn't know enough to argue. He walked straight into my bathroom, then down the hall toward my bedroom. "Hey," I said, raising my voice, "bathroom's enough." He smirked like he'd been testing me. "Relax, man, just being thorough." I paid him $80 in cash, desperate to get him out. He left without much more, just saying, "If you need anything, you got my number." That night at work, I couldn't focus. Every time I thought about him, I felt this crawling sensation, like I'd invited something in that wasn't done with me. When I got home, I noticed my bedroom window latch was unlocked. I was sure I always kept it closed. The next few days were a blur. I worked, I slept, I tried to forget about Eddie. But then the text started. "Need me to come check the pipes again? No charge, just want to make sure you're okay. You home right now?" I didn't reply. The messages came at weird hours, 1 a.m., 3 a.m., and the more I ignored them, the more frequent they got. One afternoon, I woke up to find a voicemail. His voice was low, almost whispering. "Saw your lights on last night. You should be more careful. Lot of bad people out there." My stomach dropped. He knew when I was home. I called my landlord, told him what happened. He brushed it off. "Craigslist guys are weird, but you saved money. Just block his number." So I did. Blocked it, deleted the texts. For a couple days, silence. I thought maybe it was over. Until I came home from work and found a folded note under my door. "Blocked me? That's not nice." I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the couch with the TV muted, every sound from the hallway making me jump. Around 2:30 a.m., there was a knock at the door. 3 slow knocks. I froze. My phone was in my hand, but I didn't dial. I just waited. Another 3 knocks, louder this time. "Daniel," a voice whispered. Eddie's voice. "Let me in." I backed into my bedroom and called 911, whispering so he wouldn't hear. The dispatcher asked questions, but I could barely speak. My hand shook so hard I almost dropped the phone. "He's outside my door," I whispered. "He won't leave." "Stay inside. Officers are on the way." I stayed crouched in my bedroom, heart pounding, until I heard sirens. The knocking stopped. By the time the cops arrived, Eddie was gone. They checked the hallway, took my statement, looked at the note and the texts. "File a restraining order," one of them said, "and get better locks." I did. I changed the locks the next day, got a deadbolt, a chain, even a security camera for the hallway. But 2 weeks later, I came home to find another note. This one was taped to my car windshield. "New locks won't keep me out forever." I moved 3 weeks after that. Didn't tell anyone where I was going, not even my landlord. But sometimes, late at night, when I hear a knock at the door, I freeze, because I don't know if Eddie's still looking, or if he's already found me.